In today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to work the camel stitch back and forth in rows, as opposed to working the camel stitch in rounds. Traditionally, the camel stitch is worked in rounds because you work into the third loop, which is on the back side of the half double crochet. But today I'm going to show you how you can get the same effect by working back and forth in rounds. So let's get started. For this tutorial, you will need a crochet hook in whichever size you prefer. I am using an eye hook, and this is the Hook Nook interchangeable set that you can find in select Joann stores. And you'll also need some yarn. I am just using worsted weight yarn. To begin this stitch, we're going to start off with a slip knot on the hook. And for this particular stitch, you don't need a certain number of multiples. So I'm going to go ahead and make a beginning chain of 15. And that is accomplished by yarning over and pulling the yarn through that original slip knot. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. I'm going to do that a total of 15 times. You can go ahead and pause the video here, and once you have your preferred number of chains, go ahead and resume the video, and I'll show you how to complete row 1. Once you have your desired number of chains for row 1, we are going to be placing a half double crochet into each of these chains, starting with the second chain from the hook. So not counting the loop on the hook or this first chain, we're going to work into this chain right here. To do a half double crochet, yarn over, insert the hook into the chain, pull up a loop. You should have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. You're going to repeat that into every chain across the row, and when you're done, you should have 14 half double crochet or 1 less half double crochet than your original starting chain. Go ahead and pause the video here, and when you've completed your first row of half double crochet, we'll continue on. Once you have completed row 1 of your sample, it should look something like this. Now, camel stitch is traditionally worked into what is called the third loop. So if you look at the construction of a half double crochet, you can see the 2 loops at the top that form a V. Those are traditionally your front loop, which would be this one right here, and the back loop. If you turn it over onto the wrong side of the work, there is a third loop that runs across the back. That is formed when you do a yarn over during your half double crochet formation. So that is the loop that is worked into for camel stitch. Traditionally, camel stitch is worked in the round, so you just keep working in a round, working into that third loop. However, when you're going back and forth in rows, it can be somewhat tricky to work into that loop. So what we're going to do next is yarn over and pull through and make 1 chain. That's your turning chain, and now I'm going to turn my work. So now we are on the wrong side of the work. So now, if you look closely at that third loop running across, that is what we're going to be working into. And we're going to be working half double crochets into those third loop stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and yarn over here, and if I turn it to the very top where you're looking straight down at the row, that's your traditional V. So I'm going to flip it slightly to where we're looking now at the wrong side of the work, and this is my third loop. So I'm going to go under that third loop and grab it as if to work a front loop only stitch, only I'm working into that third loop. Just like that. And then yarn over and complete a half double crochet. Okay, let's do that one more time. So I'm going to yarn over and go underneath that third loop of the next stitch as if to work a front loop only stitch, complete my half double crochet. Okay, again, yarn over. Here's my third loop. Go under as if to do a front loop only, complete the stitch. Okay, I'm going to do that a few more times. Yarn over, under the third loop, complete the half double crochet. Yarn over, under the third loop. Let's do one more. Yarn over, under the third loop. So now let's go ahead and pause for a second and turn it over onto the front side of the work. The front side is where you want the texture to be forming. And as you can see, because we've been working into that third loop, it's pushing the top V forward, which is what gives you that nice texture, that nice ridge that camel stitch is known for. All right, so at this point, go ahead and continue working a half double crochet into that third loop across the wrong side of the work. Pause your video, and when you're finished, we'll go ahead and move on to the next row. Once you have completed row 2, this is what the wrong side of the work should look like. If you turn it over onto the front, which is the right side of the work, you can see that you have this nice ridge texture. That's formed from working the half double crochet into that third loop and pushing the top of the half double crochet stitches forward. So now we're going to continue on with row 3. But if you notice, this next row that we worked is now the wrong side of the half double crochet facing us. So now the third loop is on the side that we are working. We still need to work into that third loop in order to get the effect that we want. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 1 to begin. Chain 1 and turn. Okay, we're now looking at the right side of the work. We're still going to be working half double crochets, so I'm going to go ahead and yarn over. But it gets a little tricky here. So this is the third loop right here where my thumb is. This is the top of that stitch, the V. So I'm going to go ahead and insert my hook from the back of the work, from the wrong side, underneath that V. Then I'm going to grab that third loop and I'm going to pull it around to the back. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up a loop through that third loop and complete my half double crochet. Now I'm going to do that again. Yarn over, insert the hook from the wrong side of the work under your V, under the top 2 loops. Here's the third loop right here. I'm going to grab that third loop. So now that third loop is what's on my hook. Yarn over and pull up a loop in that space, and then complete the half double crochet. Okay, yarn over, insert the hook from the wrong side of the work underneath the top 2 loops. Here's my third loop. Grab that third loop, pull your hook back around to the wrong side, so now that third loop is on your hook. Yarn over, pull up a loop in that space, yarn over, complete the half double crochet. I'm going to do a few more. Yarn over, under the top 2 loops, grab that third loop, pull up a loop in that space, complete the stitch. Yarn over, under the top 2 loops, grab the third loop, pull up a loop in that space, complete the stitch. Okay, let's go ahead and take a break, a pause, and look at what it looks like. So you can see we're still getting that same effect. We're still getting that ridge because we are still working through the third loop. So go ahead and continue this method all the way across for row 3. Pause your video here, and then when you're done, we will continue on. Okay, once you have completed row 3, this is what the sample should look like. So you're still getting that nice ridge texture along the front side of the work. All right, so from this point on, you're going to repeat what you did for rows 2 and 3 alternatively, back and forth. So go ahead and chain 1 and turn. We're now on the wrong side of the work again, and you can see that third loop running across the back. So we're going to go ahead and do what we did for row 2, which is working a half double crochet into that third loop on the back as if you were working a front loop only stitch. So go ahead and insert that hook underneath that front loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, complete your half double crochet. Yarn over, under that third loop, complete the stitch. Yarn over, under the front loop. You're going to continue this all the way across for this next row, exactly the way you did on row 2. Go ahead and pause your video here, and we will go ahead and resume with our sample. For your next row, you are going to be repeating a row 3. So basically every time you're on the wrong side of the work, which is the side without the ridges, you're going to be repeating a row 2. And every time you're on the right side, the side with the ridges, you're going to be repeating a row 3. Row 3 for me is the trickiest, so let's do that again. Yarn over, insert the hook underneath the top 2 loops of the first stitch. Grab that third loop bar and pull the hook back around to the back side of the work. You should see the third loop bar on your hook. Yarn over, pull up a loop in that space, and complete the stitch. If you're familiar with working post stitches, front post double crochet or back post double crochet, this is very similar to that motion, only instead of working around a post, you're working around that third loop bar. And you're working from the wrong side of the work towards the right side in order to grab that third loop bar. So again, yarn over, under the top 2 loops, work around that third loop bar, just as if you were working up around a post. Yarn over, pull up a loop in that space, complete the stitch. From here, you will just repeat rows 2 and 3 for whatever the desired height of your project is. And that is how you work camel stitch back and forth in rows to still get that nice ridge texture. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I will place a link to project ideas using this stitch, working the camel stitch back and forth in rows, in the description box below. Make sure you like this video if you enjoyed it, if it was helpful to you, and also make sure you're subscribed to my channel for more helpful tutorials and crochet patterns.